And then you come out and you see this huge rock sitting on top of a huge rock, right? Hey, it's Greg here with Outdoors on the Jeep, and it's a Saturday here at the end of February, and it's pretty much, it's my last day of hunting for the year. The season for being able to hunt rabbits is almost over. It's over at the end of February, and that's just a few days away. And this is the last day I can get out. So this is it. Now, the good thing is we just had a fresh snow last night. Snowed till, I don't know, midnight or something. So I got a fresh layer of snow, and I'm out here looking for tracks, hoping I can maybe get something moving and just see what kind of damage I can do. I'm going to cover a wide trail while I'm out here, and see if there's any rabbit tracks. And I mean, if you followed my rabbit snaring season, I was just mystified at the lack of rabbit activity out in this forest this year, and I think this is one of those years where the population crashed. We had a good snowstorm last night. It's a beautiful, nice, sunny day today, and it's been, you know, it's around 12:30 in the afternoon, so there's been a good five plus hours of daylight, and it snowed all day yesterday, so they weren't really out feeding, I don't imagine. So they're hungry, and they should be out, and there should be tracks. They should have been out at first light, right? At first light this morning, there was no wind. It was just basically a lovely sunrise. So if there are rabbits in this forest, there should be some sign of tracks. So I'm going to cover pretty much like a 3-kilometer strip that I have back here, a big loop on foot. I got the 20 gauge here, and I'm not messing around with the 22 today. I got the 20 gauge. If I see anything, it's going down. But I also thought I would, you know, stop in and check a number of the places where I was setting snares last year, or you know, a month or so ago when I was setting snares where I wasn't having any luck, to see if there's any tracks there now. I mean, these are, you know, a lot of the places where I had snares set this year were places I've snared rabbits before, year after year after year after year, right? Reliable trails that the rabbits have been using who knows for how long, right? You can even see the trails when there's no snow. So, yeah, just, you know, out for a hunt, and I'm just bringing you along with me. We're going to check a few spots that we were snaring before, just to see if there's any activity at all. So we're at one such place right now. So this is one of the pen sets I had towards the end of my rabbit snaring attempt in January, basically late December, all of January. We got tracks, but these are porcupine tracks. And I can't confirm that for sure, but they're so close together, and the way they look to me, they're certainly not rabbit tracks. So here's my rabbit pen. No rabbit tracks at all. Porcupine tracks, and it looks like the porcupine made them while it was still snowing, so maybe dusk last night or something, because they weren't snowed back in. And it was small enough to, you know, shamble underneath that duck bar there, and he went out over there somewhere, right? And maybe if I see a porcupine today, I got into a Facebook argument a couple weeks ago because someone was saying porcupine are delicious, and everyone I've ever eaten was tough as nails. I mean, like tough like something out of Greek mythology. I just couldn't believe how tough it was. But people, so I think the consensus of the debate that I was having with a number of people is that we think that the younger ones are tender and take good to eat, and the older ones are tough and impossible to eat. And that there's some logic. That makes some sense to me. Anyway, we're going to see what we can rustle up today. I'll just turn the camera on whenever I see anything interesting, okay? So we'll be back with you in a little bit. Here's something interesting, and something I'm hoping I could show you before season ended. So this is another porcupine trail. You can see the porcupine use a bathroom right there. And this trail actually leads to the porcupine den. Right, so this here, somewhere in this is a network. But this, see how the tracks go down underneath, down into there, okay? So down in there, somewhere in there, is a porcupine den. right? So we think of porcupines being in trees, and they do go in trees, but at least this part of the world, my understanding is that in the winter, they den up under rocks together in groups for warmth. So somewhere in there, they got some sort of nest or whatever. I can see, I don't know if it comes across on camera, but I can see down there the telltale porcupine poop pellets. They sort of poop on the front door, right? So that is a porcupine den. If you were in a terrible situation, starving to death, this is where you'd set some sort of trap, because you're definitely coming in or going out of here. Some, you know, once a day, they're probably coming in, probably going out, right? Anyway, so that's what a porcupine den looks like. And I mean, that's why they're so easy to hunt, for that matter, right? You see the tracks, you follow them till you see them leading to something like this, right? You can't go in there, but you know, you could set some sort of spring trap to catch them coming out of there if you knew how to set something like that. Right, so I'm about 1 kilometer into my hike here back in the woods, and I have not seen any sign of rabbit at all. And I've gone through this area here, beautiful spot. There's a trail almost right underneath where the camera is normally, where I've set snares and caught rabbits. This is a different part of the forest where I did my rabbit snaring video, and it's a much bigger loop. This is usually a good spot where you see rabbit tracks. I haven't seen anything, nothing. So far on my hike, I've seen porcupine tracks, I've seen grouse tracks, I've seen squirrel tracks, and I've seen like what looks like mouse or vole tracks, you know, some sort of small rodent like that. I haven't seen deer yet, but I expect I will at some point. So basically everything's been out moving around, but there's no sign of rabbit at all. Doesn't mean they're not here, it just means there's not a lot of them, probably my guess. Anyway, got 2 more kilometers to go, so I'll see you there. I'll catch up with you when I get there. All right, so I'm probably jinxing myself because I got my gun fully slinged so I can share the view with you and just walk with you for a little bit here. This is a neat bit of terrain that we have here where the tree line breaks up and you just have this kind of knee-high, waist-high brush peppered with these big cube-shaped rocks all over the place. Right, there's one there, and there's one there. And I mean, they're great. I'm walking on a deer trail here through this. My guess is that, you know, if you were here 200 years ago, the only thing different would be that this would be a caribou trail. And I imagine the caribou, the woodland caribou, there used to be caribou here in Nova Scotia right up until the turn of the century, the early 1900s. Basically that population was extirpated, made extinct for this place. And the deer sort of came in the early 1900s and took over. Where I live in Nova Scotia, Canada, on the mainland, there's pockets of places where there's still moose, and this is one of them. I've never seen one back here, but I've heard them. Sometimes I'm asleep at night. My house backs onto the forest. If I got the window open in the spring or summer, I can hear them at dawn doing, you know, mating calls and such. So anyway, it's rare, but sometimes you can hear it, especially when we first bought their place, when there was less houses around. Moose don't like people, period. Anyway, this big rock here is a sort of navigational point for me. I think it's fascinating how the whole thing, its weight is just sitting on that rock underneath. Looks like a good place to crawl and hide, but also a very dangerous place to crawl down and hide. Anyways, another huge rock over here, so I thought hoping I can walk through the woods here. And this thick forest is sometimes a good place to hunt rabbit. There's a little path through here that I made years ago with just a silky saw. This trail here, doesn't look like a trail, but it is usually crisscross with rabbit tracks. But today, there's just no tracks to be seen. And the reason I'm walking through this with you is so you can see this awesome Stonehenge kind of rock that just appears out of nowhere when you come out of the thick woods. So no rabbit tracks on this trail where they normally are. And then you come out and you see this huge rock sitting on top of a huge rock, right? So if I'm out here with a buddy, usually we'll make a little fire here and have a whiskey or something, because it's kind of just a cool spot. You've got this, let me share the view with you here. Got this big cool rock. Looks like it's gonna, you could tip it over with your hand. I mean, this thing is the size of 3 cars piled on top of each other, right? And then you got this sort of cool view of the area, right? I've often thought if I had dogs, you know, beagles, I could just let them work the area and I could sit up here with a 22 and a scope and pick off the rabbits. Anyway, this whole area is this sort of flat bog. I mean, there's trees, but it's bog land. If there wasn't snow all over the ground, you'd see the ground is covered with moss, right? And it's just sort of flat here. And there's these, you know, deer trails, which I think were caribou trails a zillion years ago, crisscrossing the boglands. Anyway, I'm going to be heading that way, and it's a bit treacherous getting over there, so I can't really keep the camera going. But you can see where I've got some sticks set up here so they can be nice and dry for the next time we have a little fire here. It'd be a cool place to camp if it wasn't windy, but it's almost always windy in this part of the province. It's rare. It's no wind today. It's a beautiful day today. But yeah, we're on a giant rock standing on top of an even bigger giant rock. All probably the result of glacier action, you know, thousands of years ago. For your viewing pleasure. We'll see you in a little bit. Hopefully we'll see some tracks. All right, so here we are at a spot that is, for me, famous for its reliability for rabbit tracks. There are no tracks there at all. I've snared a rabbit every year for the last 10 years in this spot, at least one, usually 2. There's a run that goes in there. You can see how it's sort of open a little bit. It's a rabbit trail. Over here, underneath this log, is another good spot. You can see, I don't know how obvious it is, but there are porcupine tracks. They've been snowed in, right? You can see one there. So that's definitely porcupine. They're too close together and they look a thing like rabbit tracks, and they're too heavy in the snow. Basically a porcupine. And even during snaring season, I'd noticed a porcupine using this trail. I thought I had a rabbit going on here, but porcupine. But this has been a reliable rabbit spot for 10 years. Not one fresh track here. This is always a rabbity spot. There are always rabbit tracks here, everywhere, right? This is just mystifying. Let's just walk a little further. Watch one pop into nowhere with me. Got my gun slinged. I don't die. I have no confidence today that I'm going to see anything, because I haven't seen one track, not one. Here's another spot. You can see the 2 sticks there, the guide sticks. This is a place I normally, look, that's a porcupine track there. I don't know if you can see that, up, little feet. But normally there's a rabbit trail running across here and through that. Nothing today. Yeah, nothing at all. So, I don't get it. Other than to say it's just one of those crash years. I mean, I keep going on and on about this because I've never been in one place long enough to see it happen. You know, hunting the same woods year after year after year, right? I'm fortunate to have bought a house and stayed in it. Just, there's a period of my life where I had to move almost every year. It was terrible. And I've been fortunate. Things have worked out well. And one of the benefits, I suppose, is hunting the same woods year after year and seeing this develop. So, I mean, hopefully this means that we can only go up. Things can only get better. So anyway, I'll put the camera away, go back into hunting mode. Maybe I'll see something. My optimism is going down fast. There's no tracks. You know, if you've ever been rabbit hunting after a good snow, you see the fresh tracks, you get this, I mean, your heart starts beating. You're just like, you know, there's stuff happening. They're out today. Things are going to happen today. But I got no feeling like that now. I mean, I'm almost 2 kilometers into my loop here, and I haven't seen one rabbit track. Nothing. All right, so here I am a little further into my hike. Maybe 2.5 kilometers. I don't know. We're getting towards the end of it. That's why I'm saying 2.5 kilometers. I don't know for sure. Anyway, this is another very reliable rabbit run. I usually have a snare set right here where I can get them in that little hole. I didn't get anything in it this year, and there's no tracks here at all. Nothing. I can't believe it. So, I mean, this is hard to explain to people that don't do this thing on a regular basis, but this place always has tracks. This is very reliable, and there's nothing here. Just nothing. No tracks at all. I mean, the rabbit population in this forest is at a low, for sure. I just encountered a perfect explanation of why people in this part of the world wear, you know, high. So I've got rubber boots on here. They're kind of insulated. They're farmer's boots. They're made of some material that insulates them, but they don't have like a liner. You just put thick socks on. I wish I had a pair of size larger. I could wear 2 socks in them. Anyway, these come up, to the top of my shin. So they come up to about here. So they're, let's say 16, yeah, 16 inches high, give or take. And I just went in this hole and it just caught I basically dived out before they went over my boots. But you can see how the pants are soaked, right? And for those of you that might be asking, why are your pants outside your boots? You do that, otherwise snow will fall in your boots. Snow and sticks and pine needles and stuff like that. It's horrendous. So you put long johns on, even when it's not that cold. I think it's only -2 or -3 this afternoon. So it's a relatively warm day. But you wear the long johns so that your boots don't rub against your skin. And then you put the pants on the outside, and even though the pants get wet, you're dry, and all the sticks and stuff stay out. It's kind of like a modified gator, I guess. Just a different way of doing it. That's how you wear the high rubber boots. But I would have totally gone over my boots if I was wearing anything other than a high waterproof boot, right? Anything. So even when it's cold and it's a winter and stuff like that, and we have ice, there's all these hot spots, right? Just places in the woods where, even though the ground's frozen everywhere, there's these places where it's never frozen and it's always water. And this little creek over here is like that too. I'm trying not to, I'm sort of walking on ice here. I think there's a log here to step on. But this creek is really high. I can just tell the water's high. I got my sort of homemade, old, worn out, not so new bridge, which hopefully won't give up as I cross it. But this is one of these places. This creek here is narrow. Like, you know, it's too wide to jump because it's so soft on the edges, but you know, it's only about 6 feet wide, and the water moves unbelievably slowly. But it's bog, right? It's sort of like swamp. So it's hot, basically. It's the best way I can put it there. I can't explain it, but it's basically bog. There's some sort of decomposition happening, and the water here, yes, it's moving, but it's also kind of warm all the time. So even though it's barely moving, no matter how cold it gets, this always seems to be kind of wet, kind of hot. You can see it almost melted through there, right? You can see the wet spot there. Another one over there, right? So anyway, that's why I got a bridge here. Kind of hopeless without it. Not quite sure what I'm stepping on here, or how deep it is. But I'm glad I got the rubber boots. That's for sure. We're on the last leg of the trail here. A couple more spots to check out. I got to go up this hill and check out some of the places I had my pens this year to see if there's any activity at all at those. I haven't seen any deer tracks yet, which is surprising. They should be out moving around. I mean, they could be, I mean, deer have much bigger territory than rabbits. So they could, or, you know, the snowshoe hare. So the deer are definitely out moving around today. They're probably just somewhere else. You know, they have a much bigger range than a rabbit. So if there was rabbits in any population, I would have seen the tracks. The fact that you don't see deer tracks on any given day doesn't mean a lot, because they could just be somewhere else. If, you know, a larger, much larger range that they follow over a given course of a week. Well, a sign of hope, not much use to me today, but these are rabbit tracks right here. You can see the 1, 2, 3. I mean, they've been snowed in. They are not fresh in the slightest. And this isn't a regular rabbit trail. This is one of my walking trails. So it's not a place you'd normally see them. Looks like a good-sized rabbit. Probably because it's the only one in the forest. Anyway, it was out here, I would say, maybe at dusk last night, because it was still snowing then. At that point in the day, we'd already shoveled the driveway twice, but then we had to shovel it again this morning. So I think we got about 25-30 centimeters of snow, a foot of snow, sometime between 10 o'clock and midnight yesterday. Anyway, this guy was out, this guy or gal. That's the only tracks I've seen so far. Now here's a place where I had a pen set this year. It's one of the only places I saw action. So I snared a rabbit right there. There was a trail going down that way. No sign of any activity here at all. There was good tracks over there during the season. Nothing. So, well, I thought I'd swing by the old survival shelter on the way home just to see if it was still standing under all that snow. Still standing. And one of the viewers asked me about putting the fire out, that sort of thing. So the fire had been right here, basically this spot. Right, you can see the charcoal and stuff. Right, that's where the fire was. So all I did was I took the logs I had going this way and just spaced them out about 6 inches from one another along there. And the same thing over here. Right, you can see all the different logs. I just pulled them off the fire, right? See that? I just pulled them off the fire and leaned them on a log and just left them like that. I stuck around for a while to see that they're basically going down. After, I don't know, 5 minutes, there was no more flame at all. And they were just smoldering. Now, I mean, you would not leave a fire like that during regular season. That would be insane. But this time of the year where the ground's covered in snow and the ground isn't dry either. The ground is covered in snow and the ground is full of water. Basically everything, the ground is completely saturated with water. And it's cold, right? So fires just go out on their own for the most part. I mean, I kicked the fire and I stirred it around and I spread these logs out, right? Next day I'm out here, you know, and I have a loose compulsion to spend the night here and try this out. I gotta have just the right day because, you know, I'm 49, so I mean, it's not that I don't believe you can do it, it's just I know what'll be left of me the next day. Let's just put it that way. I've got a full-time job, I got a wife and 2 kids, and you know, you bounce back from nights like that a lot better when you're young, when you're at my age. So I'll come out here another day and take all these logs and just sort of just taking them, lean them up against the shelter like that, so that they can be relatively, so they're not getting rained on, right? So they'll be relatively good, remain like, you know, as long as the logs stay like this, laid out like this, they're getting snowed on, they're getting rained on, they're not drying off well, they're not good firewood. And there were, you know, of the trees I found around here, as I was gathering trees to make the shelter, these were the sort of choice ones that got set aside as firewood. These are the ones I'd want, plus more, to make it through a cold night. Having them sit like this in rain and snow is not going to improve them one iota. Anyway, I'm going to sign off. That's the end of this searching for rabbit tracks video. I hiked about a 3-kilometer loop through the woods, through territory where I've always snared rabbits and seen lots of rabbit tracks and hunted rabbits. and I saw one set of rabbit tracks the whole way, just one. So I think that is final confirmation that this is a population crash year in this area where I am, which means that things can only get better. So hopefully next year is good. It's still good to get out for a hike and just, you know, just see everything. And you know that the first kilometer of the hike is a stretch of forest I haven't been through in a while, you know, where those big rocks are and all that sort of stuff. That was fun to do. Anyway, I hope you found that interesting, and there was maybe a few insights, musings, or observations that resonated with you in some way, and you know, gave you some food for thought. And if that's the case, please like, share, subscribe. And until next time, enjoy the outdoors on the cheap. Thanks for watching.